They say money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a garage full of engineering marvels worth more than some countries' GDPs. I'm talking about machines so rare and exclusive that their owners have to sign NDAs just to place an order. What if I told you that right now, hidden behind unmarked doors and underground vaults, sits a collection of automobiles so valuable that it's guarded 24/7 by former military personnel? A collection that's never been filmed before today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the shadow world of hyper-wealth, where cars aren't just transportation, they're appreciating assets that outperform the stock market. I'm about to take you inside the most secretive and valuable private car collection on the planet. A collection that belongs to someone whose name I've been legally advised not to reveal. But before we step into this automotive fortress, let me ask you this. What would you do if you had unlimited resources? Because what you're about to see might just redefine what you thought was possible. The secret location. The journey to this hidden sanctuary begins 3 hours outside of any major city. I've been blindfolded for part of the trip, and no, I'm not exaggerating. My camera crew and I signed pages of legal documents promising never to reveal the exact location. As we pass through the third security checkpoint, I'm starting to understand why. What looks like an ordinary agricultural complex from the satellite view is actually a purpose-built fortress. Facial recognition, fingerprint scanners, and weight-sensitive floors that can detect the exact footprint of authorized personnel. We've had people try to break in before, says the head of security, a former Special Forces operator who asked to remain anonymous. Not just thieves, but competitors and even some governments interested in what's housed here. The massive hangar-style doors begin to slide open, revealing something that makes my heart skip a beat. But before I show you what's inside, have you ever wondered what $1 billion looks like when it's converted into automotive form? Well, you're about to find out. The first reveal. The first section alone would make any car enthusiast weak at the knees. A lineup of automotive royalty that starts with not one, but 3 Ferrari LaFerraris, in red, black, and a custom midnight blue that Ferrari initially refused to produce until a 7-figure persuasion fee changed their minds. Each car here has a story, explains the collection manager who's been with the billionaire owner for over 15 years. That blue LaFerrari? The owner wanted it to match the exact color of the Mediterranean at sunset from his villa in Monaco. Ferrari said no 3 times. Next to them sits something that stopped me in my tracks, a Koenigsegg C CXR Trevita. One of only 2 ever made, with a carbon fiber that sparkles like millions of tiny diamonds under the light. Current market value? Over $4.8 million if you could find one for sale. The owner actually has both Trevitas, the manager mentions casually. The other one is in his Swiss residence. But what's truly fascinating isn't just what these cars are worth, it's what they represent. In a world where the ultra-wealthy can buy virtually anything, exclusivity becomes the ultimate currency. And speaking of exclusivity, wait until you see what's kept in the inner sanctum. Cars so rare that most people don't even know they exist. But first, let me tell you about the one that got away. The one that got away. See that empty space right there? It was supposed to house a 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO, the holy grail of collector cars. In 2018, one sold at auction for $48.4 million. The owner was in negotiations to acquire one in a private sale, rumored to be worth over $70 million. It was a done deal, the manager reveals with visible disappointment. The owner had already designed a special climate-controlled chamber just for that car. The transaction was set to complete on a Friday. But on Wednesday, tragedy struck. The seller, an elderly European aristocrat, suffered a fatal heart attack. His heirs, unaware of the handshake agreement, decided to keep the car in the family. It's the only time I've seen the boss truly upset about missing out on an acquisition, the manager confides. He offered them $100 million cash the next day. They still said no. This empty platform serves as a reminder that even with unlimited resources, some things remain tantalizingly out of reach. But don't feel too sorry for our mysterious billionaire just yet, because what he managed to acquire next defies belief. The Hypercars. If the previous section represented automotive royalty, this next chamber houses the gods themselves. We're looking at hypercars so advanced they're essentially Formula One technology disguised as street-legal vehicles. Front and center sits the crown jewel, a Bugatti La Voiture Noire, the most expensive new car ever sold at nearly $19 million. This modern interpretation of the iconic Type 57 SC Atlantic is a one-off masterpiece that many thought was purchased by Ferdinand Piëch, the former chairman of Volkswagen Group. That was deliberate misdirection, the manager reveals with a smile. The owner prefers to keep certain acquisitions private. This car has never been seen in public since it left the factory. Next to it is a Pagani Zonda HP Barchetta, one of 3 ever made. Horacio Pagani himself personally delivered this car, a detail that becomes more significant when you notice the custom touches throughout the vehicle that don't appear on the other 2 examples. But what truly captures my attention is the Aston Martin Valkyrie AMR Pro, the track-only version of an already extreme hypercar. Only 40 exist worldwide, developed with Red Bull Racing's Formula One technology. The aerodynamics are so advanced that it could theoretically drive upside down at high speeds due to the downforce generated. This one's actually used regularly, the manager says, noticing my surprise. The owner has a private track built to FIA standards where he tests the performance limits of these vehicles. He's not just a collector, he's a driver. As I run my fingers along the carbon fiber bodywork of the Valkyrie, I can't help but wonder what kind of person accumulates machines like these. Is it passion, investment strategy, or something else entirely? I'm about to find out, because for the first time ever, the billionaire owner has agreed to speak with me. Not on camera, and not by name, but what he's about to reveal will challenge everything you thought you knew about why the ultra-wealthy collect cars. But first, let's talk about what happens when a billionaire decides that existing supercars aren't exclusive enough. The custom commissions. Sometimes, buying the most expensive production car isn't enough, the manager explains as we enter a space that looks more like an art gallery than a garage. When you've reached a certain level, you want something that literally no one else on Earth possesses. We're looking at the results of custom commissions, cars designed from the ground up for one owner only. These aren't just special editions. They're unique creations that cost tens of millions and take years to complete. The centerpiece is breathtaking, a completely bespoke Rolls-Royce swept-tail inspired by the coach-building era of the 1920s and 30s. This nautical-inspired masterpiece took over 4 years to build and cost a reported $13 million. The design brief was simple but challenging, the manager explains. Create something that would still be considered beautiful 100 years from now. Next to it sits what appears to be a Ferrari, but with unfamiliar lines. It's a modern interpretation of the iconic Ferrari 250 GT SWB, created by a specialty coach builder who spent 5,000 hours hand-forming each aluminum body panel. The cost, if you have to ask, the manager says with a knowing smile. But the truly jaw-dropping revelation comes when he points to a computer-generated rendering on the wall. That's the next project, A fully electric hypercar with performance that will make everything else here seem obsolete. Budget, unlimited. Timeline, however long it takes to get it right. This is the ultimate flex in the world of automotive collecting. Not just owning the rarest production cars, but creating vehicles that couldn't exist without your patronage. It's like commissioning Michelangelo rather than buying existing art. And as I'm about to learn, these cars represent more than just wealth. They're tangible symbols of something far more complex. The investment angle. People misunderstand why these cars are collected. The mysterious owner tells me during our off-camera conversation. His voice is surprisingly soft, with the measured cadence of someone used to being listened to. Yes, there's passion and appreciation for the craftsmanship. But at this level, it's also one of the most exclusive investment classes in the world. He's not exaggerating. While most cars depreciate the moment you drive them off the lot, these ultra-rare examples have shown staggering appreciation. A McLaren F1 purchased new in the 1990s for around $800,000 could now command over $20 million, a 2,400% return. The Ferrari 250 GTOI mentioned earlier, in 1962 it cost about $18,000 new, the owner explains. Now they're worth over $50 million. Find me another asset class with that performance. The manager pulls up a confidential portfolio analysis on a secured tablet. It shows the collection's overall annual appreciation rate outperforming the S&P 500 by a factor of 3 over the past decade. But it's not just about the money, the owner insists. These cars are physical manifestations of human ingenuity and artistry. They can't be replicated digitally or mass-produced. In an increasingly virtual world, that tangible uniqueness becomes even more valuable. As I listen, I realize there's a philosophy here that goes beyond mere accumulation of expensive toys. These vehicles are carefully selected based on historical significance, technical innovation, and cultural impact. Which brings us to perhaps the most surprising section of the collection. Cars that are valuable not because of their price tags, but because of their stories. The historical significance. We enter a climate-controlled room that feels more like a museum than a garage. Here, displayed on rotating platforms, are cars that changed automotive history forever. There's a 1908 Ford Model T. Not particularly valuable in monetary terms, but it represents the democratization of the automobile. Next to it sits a 1938 Volkswagen Beetle prototype, one of the few that survived World War II. These cars aren't the most expensive in the collection, but they're among the most important, the manager explains. They mark pivotal moments in human transportation. The real showstopper is a Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupe, one of only 2 ever made. In 2022, one sold for $142 million, making it the most expensive car ever sold at auction. This one, however, has an even more fascinating provenance. This was Rudolf Uhlenhaut's personal car, the manager reveals, referring to the legendary Mercedes engineer who designed it. The documents proving its history are as valuable as the car itself. As I examine these automotive treasures, the owner's earlier words echo in my mind. These aren't just vehicles, they're artifacts of human achievement. Each one tells a story about design, technology, and cultural values of its era. But there's another aspect to this collection that I didn't expect to find, one that points to the future rather than the past. The next generation. Collecting isn't just about preserving the past, the owner tells me as we move into a section dedicated to next-generation vehicles. It's about recognizing the future before others do. This area houses the most advanced electric and hydrogen-powered vehicles in existence, including prototype models that aren't yet available to the public. There's a Rimac Nevera, currently the world's fastest production electric car, and next to it sits something completely unexpected: a hydrogen-powered hypercar that won't be revealed to the public until next year. The transition away from internal combustion engines doesn't mean the end of automotive passion, the owner insists. It's just the beginning of a new chapter. What's fascinating is how these next-generation vehicles are already being treated as future classics, with the same care and reverence as the vintage Ferraris and Mercedes. But perhaps the most surprising revelation comes when I ask about the future of the collection itself. The legacy question. What happens to all of this when you're gone? I asked the billionaire owner during our conversation. It's a delicate question, but one that must be considered for a collection of this magnitude. His answer is unexpected and thought-provoking. "I'm just a temporary custodian," he says after a thoughtful pause. "My children have their own passions, and I wouldn't want to burden them with maintaining something that doesn't speak to them personally." Instead, he's created a foundation that will eventually transform this private collection into a public museum, with an endowment to ensure its preservation for generations. "These cars represent the pinnacle of human creativity and technical achievement," he explains. "They belong to history, not to any individual. My job is simply to gather and protect them until they can be shared with the world." It's a surprisingly humble perspective from someone who has spent hundreds of millions building this automotive empire. And it reveals something profound about collecting at this level. It's not just about ownership, it's about stewardship. As our unprecedented access to this hidden world comes to an end, I'm left with one burning question. As we prepare to leave this automotive sanctuary, the manager pulls me aside. "There's one more thing the boss wanted me to show you," he says with a mischievous smile. He leads me to what appears to be a solid wall, places his palm on an unmarked section, and a hidden door silently slides open. "This is the real reason for all the security," he says as we step into a darkened space. The lights gradually illuminate to reveal something that makes even the LaFerraris seem commonplace: a single car, covered with a silken sheet. With theatrical flourish, the manager pulls away the covering to reveal, "Actually, I've been asked not to show or describe this final vehicle. The legal team was very clear about this condition of our access. What I can tell you is that its existence has been rumored in collector circles for decades, with many believing it was destroyed or lost to history. I can also tell you that seeing it changed my understanding of why people collect cars at this level. It's not just about wealth or status or even appreciation. For true collectors, it's about being part of a continuum, connecting to the past while preserving something meaningful for the future." As we drive away from this hidden fortress of automotive excellence, I can't help but reflect on what I've witnessed. Beyond the sheer monetary value, beyond the exclusive materials and engineering brilliance, these collections represent something profoundly human: our desire to create objects of beauty and performance that transcend their functional purpose. So let me ask you, if you had unlimited resources, which car would you add to your collection? And more importantly, why? Share your dream car in the comments below, and let me know if you'd like to see more videos exploring the world of ultra-high net worth collections. Until next time, keep dreaming of those luxury wheels, even if some of them might forever remain behind closed doors.